meeting the council or regional council today. Welcome people online and everybody who's out there. We love to listen to what we do. We'll take apologies at this stage, which there are none. And here it's online, so we're all here. All good. I don't know if any declarations of interest need to be recorded. We'll move straight on to number 4 here. This, and we have the privilege of swearing in of our mana whenua appointees for the committees. We'll call you up one at a time. Is that right? Or happy? Evelyn, you're first off the rank, so you come up the front here. Welcome. Yes, you're good. You decide which.
Ko au tēnei ko Evelyn Cook, e whakapoaki atu nei I taku ote I roto I te pono me te tika, I ai ki o pukinga me o karo, kia whakatutakina, kia hapaitia hoki he painga mo te rohi o Southland, nā mana kaunihira me nā mahi kei roto tonu, ka utaina rānei ki runga I au, e tūnei he mema o te committee whaitua, whakakotahi a rohi o kaunihira a rohi o Southland, I raro I te maru o te turi kawanatanga a rohi, 2002, me te turi kawanatanga a rohi o te pārongo o kawa, me na hui 1987, I raro rānei I te tahi atu ture, e tōko nei Te Waihokoa, the 22nd of Hononoi, 2026. Got it?
Very good. Stuart, would you like to way forward?
Kia ora koutou. I, Stuart Ball, figure that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of Southland Region, the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Strategy and Policy Committee of the Southland Regional Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meeting Acts 1987, or any other act dated in Cargill 22nd day, July 2026. Thank you. Yeah. Can I just? Yes. I just like to I suppose express my appreciation of the the support and the ongoing support from especially Environment South and I guess recognising and supporting the rights and privileges of mana whenua and the recognition of the rangatiratanga of the iwi kaitahu kati mamoi waitahu in the rohi and Murihiki. I'd just like to say I'm not here for me, I'm here to share that concept of kaitiakitanga with us all and always express that term kaitiakitanga It's not a privilege, it's a responsibility, and so it's a responsibility on behalf, I say on behalf of us all, it's our watch. It's our watch now, and so what is our legacy going to be for those future generations, our children, our grandchildren, stuff like coming on behind us? And so I just want to express why I'm here, and I just hope we can all keep in mind that term kaitiaki-tanga. I just seen it recently on television somewhere. It was expressed as one of the biggest, nicest words that there is in the in and around us in this day. And so it's about that consideration of us and our future generations. But kia ora pana, ki kaha.
Look, I'll just add to this. This is we really appreciate you putting your names forward and being on committees. I know you, and this is probably it really enhances the partnership we have with Pami and Iwi. And I know you bring, Evelyn and Stu bring a lot of wisdom and knowledge. You've spent a bit of time around the tables here, and it's hugely important for that to for us to do our business. And we really thank you for that, putting the time. This is a job that takes time.
I remember sitting here with your father.
Yeah. My kids might start doing this too. So, and we really intergenerational stuff. I did do a bit of work on the farm first. But no, look, we really appreciate it. Like, we just can't say enough about it. It just strengthens our partnership. And so thanks very much for putting your names involved in this, and just put hands together just to. Move on to number 5. Oh, no, cheers. We do have a public forum. We have Jordan Trial. They're just going to speak. Welcome.
Hello.
The floor is yours. You can 5-10 minutes or 5 minutes and a few questions. Maybe. Is that right?
Hello everyone, my name is Jordan Trail. I am the program manager for the School of Environmental Management, and I am an FOT and the deputy chair of the Southland Conservation Board as well. I was asked to speak today just about the community awards that the project I'm involved with at down at the hospital, Kew Bush, the Kaihati Forest there, and so to speak on that too. But so the little group that I'm part of, we won an award last year, so thank you guys for hosting those awards, for having those awards, that recognise all the hard work that goes on the ground for conservation and the preservation of our patches of forest and that community of groups manage and run. I think it's been really fantastic. Move along the way. A little bit about Kew Bush is, well, the great thing was, it's been 30 years since someone's been restoring our little patch of forest, and he finally got recognition at the awards for his 3 decades of work. So he was there. He was really stoked first and had a great night. I've come along for 2 years, so I feel like I'm a little bit too new as part of it to get that full recognition. So what our project is, just an opportunity to tell you all about it, introduce you to the School of Environmental Management as well, is we run it as an outdoor classroom. So we get our students, they're stuck with us for a degree for 3 years. They have to be stuck in a classroom to get their piece of paper at the end of it, of course. And we thought, hey, you know what, you could be restoring a forest at the same time. So we put our students out there. Over the course of 2-3 years, they start out not knowing what a forest really is, what's in a forest, what shouldn't be in a forest, how to look after the birds, how to make sure there's the right amount of birds, the right different types of birds. And it goes on and on and on, all these different ways of what conservation management and environmental protection really is. And hopefully at the end of that, we have people that understand the complexity of environmental management quite well, and they end up leaving our classroom, going off to bigger and brighter things, which is often this building. So a lot of our alumni end up working here. And so we're using this Kew Bush project as a bit of a training ground, I guess. And we contribute to the conservation of the silver patch forest while they're going and doing all being in our school. I think the community awards were really fantastic in that they provided us some funding for whatever we wanted to do. So this has been used on re-graveling the track. So there's access to this forest, and the access to the forest remains. There's a bit of community infrastructure in South City. People can take their kids around and go for a walk, and that's thanks to the community awards, we've got that. And you guys at Environment Southland give us funds every year through the Biodiversity Enhancement Fund to carry out some really important work. So we wouldn't be able to do that work without that continued support. And the community infrastructure you set up with the biodiversity team at Environment Southland has been really good as well. Fantastic support and advice. That's been really, really good for us to be able to not make wrong decisions. The advice has been instrumental. So yeah, I just thought I'd chat to you and introduce you to the project, and thank you for the continued support through the Biodiversity Enhancement Fund and the staff at PS, and specifically for the community awards. It's given the students a lot of pride knowing that they're contributing something bigger than themselves and getting a little bit of recognition for it. We don't do it for the recognition, of course. We do it so there's forest for everyone, but it has, it's given students lots of things to be proud of and talk about, as well as the Friends of Kew Bush community group who have been recognised for the 3 decades of number 8 wire restoration. So, thank you.
Thanks for coming in, and it's great to hear what the community's doing, and there's probably a couple of questions. Alistair and Phil.
Jordan, we looked at you as succession. In other words, that it was the plan to move things forward, and your students were part of that too. So, yeah, it was a very strong project that you had.
Yeah, thanks.
Good enough.
Yes, every new year, new students do more stuff. Yeah.
I'm just really curious, how's numbers looking in the program at the moment? Is there a continuing interest in this field of study? And
yeah, absolutely. I think the word's got out that our school is really, really high quality. You may have seen the ad at the airport. One of our students doing conservation work in Kew Bush. I think it's still there. But yeah, numbers are looking really good. So now SRT is independent again. So we went through that amalgamation and that de-amalgamation. And so we're out the other side of it this year. And we can retain our 0 fees, which sets SRT apart. Our school individually is doing really well. We've got, well, we started it from the advice from Environment Southland really in 2010, I think. The school started out then through a partnership with you guys or advice from you. So the bachelor's going well. We're going strong. And then Great South has suggested we look into doing a postgraduate and setting up a master's degree. That's on my agenda for this semester, trying to set up a master's program in environmental management or a master's of applied science to fill that as a talent pipeline really for Southland. Because this is how Southland gets people here, Southland knowledge through their degree and solve these issues of environmental management.
mind if I just, as some of those students, are they from outside of the region coming to Southland to study?
Yeah, now that we have 0 fees back and it's here to stay, students are moving down. We have a new intake started on Monday. We have 2 or 3 moved down, and lots of people going straight from school into a program with international students coming back as well, all around the world studying with us.
Great to hear. We need people down here, and certainly in that area is very. It's an important area for us to have skilled people.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
that's great to hear. And look, thanks, Jordan.
No worries.
Thanks very much, and all welcome to come and tell us what's going on.
Yeah, there's so much going on at our school, but I'm happy to talk about it again. Yeah, let me know.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Right, I'll move on. I'll put my glasses on. We'll go to 6.1, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting, council 10th June 26. Could I move secondary? Ewan, any discussion in regards to that? All in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Move into the ordinary meeting, the minutes of the ordinary meeting 24th of June 26. Move on a second after those. Bill, move them. Alistair, taking them, any discussion? I'll put that, all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. Move on to 7.1, the adoption of the committee resolution, regulatory committee, 13th of May, 26. Paul, do you have anything to discuss or you have to move?
No, very good. We're about to at our third regulatory committee meeting out of August. Good support by the staff.
Okay, you're happy to move those? Someone to second those, thanks, Morris. Discussion, put that, all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. Adoption of 7.2, adoption of committee resolution, civil defence emergency management group.
Just to note that was the first meeting that included the new emergency manager, Phil Mackay. So it was his first week on the job, I think. So he enjoyed the baptism of fire there. Still deal at that meeting, you'll note, was dealing with some legacy issues from the October wind event in terms of invoicing for generators and a revised approach to that. So that was agreed to by the mayors present, and yeah, look forward to making those letters are actually going out this week. So it's taken a lot longer than is ideal, but it's been necessary due to the joint nature of it. We're having to get everyone to agree and find.
Are you happy to move those? And I'll second those. No discussion, I'll put that, all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. We'll move on 7.3, adoption of the committee resolutions, risk and insurance committee, 11th June.
Thanks, Chair. Fair to say that the theme is there are lots of work-ons in the risk area, particularly I want to highlight 9.4, the enterprise people risk, and that there is quite a lot of work going on to fill some of those data gaps and processes. So it's a watch this space, but great progress at this point. With that, happy to move the adoption.
Seconded. Jeffrey. Discussion, I'll put it, all in favour, say aye. Carried. Move 7.4, adoption of the committee resolutions from the Regional Transport Committee, 23rd of February 2026.
Yeah, just to note that was a meeting held with Otago up in Dunedin. It's part of our continuing joint approach or shared approach with Otago, and that continues to work well. Very much a well-defined pathway currently remaining for regional transport management, and development of the regional transport plan is well underway and progressing smoothly. I'm happy to move those.
Alistair, you'll second those. Put them, all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. We'll move on to 7.5, adoption of committee resolution, strategy and policy committee, 8th July.
Thank you, Chair. Quite a meeting we had on the 8th of July, and a number of significant recommendations. In particular, the Fiordland Marine Regional Pathway Management Plan review. The supporting staff to continue working on the Bluff Haul Out facility was high priority for councillors, I would suggest. And the request that staff investigate options to fund the Fiordland Marine Regional Pathway Management Plan review for the 2026-27 financial year. Following that, the Regional Forum report. I would like to thank councillors for their thoughtful and mature approach to that conversation, and note that there are a number of separate resolutions. There is one with a slight spelling mistake, which we can sort out later. Top of page 58 of our general agenda, it should be change, not changes. And significantly, I think perhaps the last resolution there to formally advise regional council members of the above acknowledge the enduring nature of their work and thank them again for their contribution, as well as the general intent of the regional forums report. A number of other things followed that, but I won't go through the whole thing because you've all read it. So I'm happy to move the adoption of those resolutions. Thank you, Chair.
Ewan, second discussion. No, all good. Put that, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, carried. Move on to 1.6, the adoption of committee resolutions of integrated catchment management committee on the 9th of July. John, do you speak to that?
Yeah, another reasonably fulsome meeting with lots of discussions, a fair bit going on in the ICM space between bird flu. There was a discussion of the day, and obviously there's now changing. It has made the shores, so obviously that'll be filling up part of the reporting going forward. But yeah, lots in there. But I guess one of the questions Councillor Hodgson had was around reporting the catchments, and I guess looking to staff's input on how can we have catchment reporting so we're getting ranking challenges, so there's a better understanding for communities what each catchment really needs to prioritise to move forward on some of the challenges they're facing us. So looking forward to some of the feedback. But apart from that, no,
Yeah, happy to move that. David, yeah.
Just a point, it was on page 65, and it was to do with the gravel extraction activities up at Dipton, and the way it's written there, it doesn't actually raise, but there was a concern in the community around the possibility of it hybrid and breaking out, and that was getting taken back. But I think the way it's actually mentioned there, it doesn't look like there's anything much to look into, but it was undertaken to look into that. So I think it needs to be a bit stronger.
Just looking, where do we look? An indication, just an action point, was there, or anything
Yes,
in there?
Chair, so following on from the previous management committee where there was a petition by David Marshall there were some actions that were taken at that point in relation to this particular site where the road. Councillor Rowe brought it back up as well at the last one, which is what's limited here in terms of the community's concern. So what I'm hearing from Councillor Rose is it's that part that we need to ensure is reflected in the minutes. The community is still ongoingly concerned about this place. So there wasn't a specific action taken from the meeting, but in terms of reflecting it typically in the minutes, that's it. I'm looking back again.
So what you're doing today is adopting the resolutions. The committee will consider the minutes at its next meeting. Your feedback from today will ensure they're adjusted.
So the next
And
committee
you will-
meeting, make
and
sure
if
the
you're not happy with
minutes,
them, then you
Right.
can-
Okay.
we're adopting the resolution in regards to that.
Yeah.
So that's clear, so you can bring it up.
Yeah.
Hey, Alistair.
My diary tells me I was there, but I can't see my name.
That's the outfit, Alistair. Okay, well, John, you're happy to move
Yeah, I'm
those?
happy to move it.
Yeah, so it's I'll see you, Judge. All good? Okay, all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. Okay. We're going to item 8, notification of extraordinary urgent business. We actually do have two supplementary reports that we're bringing to the table, and they're obviously noting these will be dealt with in public excluded. We have supplementary report. Item 1, Chief Executive update on governance matters, and item 2, approach to simplifying local government. We just happen to move those. So they've been put in, and then second it, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, very good. Questions? Number 9, I don't think anybody's got questions. Or not? Oh, you've got lots of questions, but move on to 10, my report, which is here. Yeah, there seems to be quite a lot going on. Probably a lot of discussions going on around amalgamations, probably one of the bigger things, but obviously you can tell the meetings and that I've been involved with, obviously been away for a period too, through this time. I think Phil looked after things while I was away. Albeit I did get a few phone calls. But if anybody's got any other, sorry, probably, actually probably one of the probably exciting for me was, or even great was the summit that we put on last week. And this is all about just making sure the community's got information, understand that's probably a big part of my job at the moment, is explaining what we do. And it's good that even after that, there were a lot of questions came to me to ask more information. So, that's good that people are reaching out to me, trying to make an informed decision around these head starts and amalgamation discussions. So, and that's what we've got to keep on doing. Just got to keep on giving the right information. So, hopefully the right decision can be made in the end. And obviously we're about our functions. It's always been about our functions, making sure they fit into a structure, and that's in the future for the community. So that's probably one of my biggest focuses is in regards to that. But if anybody's got any other questions around the report, things I'm doing that I should be doing, not doing. No, very good. My job done easy. So I just tabled that. Receive it. Yeah. I'll make it.
Yep, second.
Second it, Lyndall, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Yes. Carried. Do we have any other reports, councillors' reports?
Sorry, just a quick verbal one. I've had a meeting with concerned ratepayers up in Tiania, in the Cynthia Road area, where there's a lot of absentee homeowners and an increase of pigs and possums and everything in bush areas, and a lot of people buying larger blocks of land, building lovely homes and visiting 4 weeks of the year, planting native, which is great, but not managing the extraordinary activity of vermin and everything else. So it's getting closer to our town. So it was quite good to sit down with there's quite a bit of conversation around locally, around the local government commission as well. So we'll continue to do that.
Any other updates, Ewan?
Yeah, just on the local government working group. So they've formed a report, and that'll come out to the councils. I thought it would have been out today, but it must be due out in the next couple of days. So, and then I think that will be tabled prior to the Invercargill City Council's meeting tomorrow.
I mean, it's good to note there are a number of amalgamation public meetings this week, and certainly encourage anybody to go and be involved in that and to listen in and provide information or help if need be. It's our position in the community to do that. So there's no other reports. Very good. We'll move on to number 11.1 CE and then first meeting. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
This is where you need to really hit it home. First meeting and make it.
Hey, day 3, so nice to be here. And yeah, I look forward to getting stuck into it. You've obviously got a report.
Yep.
You got a report there from the acting chief executive, who's been in that role for about a year. But yeah, just reiterating what the chair mentioned, it's obviously been a busy old time when you read that report. There's a lot going on. End of the financial year as well, plus the start of the new financial year. So yeah, finishing off last financial year's work programs appropriately, and you've landed a new LTP, a new annual plan, and the budgets and all those sorts of things that go with that, at the same time as staff doing a lot of work on responding to local government reform things, the summit that you held and the like. But I will give Rob Phillips the final pleasure of talking to his report one last time, and then it will be me from there on in. So over to you, Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, and this will be my last time.
Never say never, yes. Oh, no, we're not taking. Undermining the news.
I have no plans to be back. So, hey, thanks, Stephen, and thanks, Chair. It's great to present the last report. I've done a few of them over the years, I guess, looking back. Over the past 6 weeks, as Jimmy talked about, it's been a really busy old time. It's been unbelievable. I can't remember a time it's been busier. So we had a real focus on supporting the discussions on local government reform. Some of the things we've been doing is the financial modelling that you'll be aware of. There's been a lot of work done on that space, and I think we've led to some models which, that was all about how do we inform the discussions, how do we get some information out there where it actually says, here's the financial implications of some different models here. It's not the only bit of information that people will use to help inform their decision, but it is a key one. People want to know what's the benefit. So that's been good, and it's landed really well. I see a number of councils using it or something similar at the moment. So it was a really great bit of work. And also the summit, as the chair touched on, was also a piece of work that took a lot of work across organisational piece, and that landed really well with Dom Nupton sort of setting the scene at the start of that session. There was a lot of good collaborative discussion around the room. So I think everyone left. It was all about how do we make sure people have got a common understanding of what we do. This was part of it. I think that landed pretty well. So appreciate the staff and everyone that made that happen. Look, we also, as your new CEO talked about, or has been talking about, we're closely monitoring the government's resource management reforms with the select committee reporting back on Monday. And while the final shape of the legislation isn't quite clear yet, which is expected to be in the next couple of months, we're already preparing for what comes next. And there's a lot of work going on both across the sector and also amongst other councils in Southland. And so that's really important. And I guess the focus at the moment is our spatial planning arrangements. I think this next CE meeting, there's some recommendations coming in which will help shape up what does that architecture look like, take this forward. It's been a wee bit of time to get here and to have that in place. So that's something that I'm sure Stephen will be getting his teeth right into. Look, much of our work is delivered in partnership. We're one part of a number of different organisations, and a good example is our work with MPI on biosecurity and on bird flu. The MPI have the lead responsibility, but we are supporting them, and other councils are also supporting them. So that's worked underway. It's wrapped up in the last couple of weeks with the recent sightings, and you'll be hearing more about that shortly. It is here, and it will inevitably spread. Good biosecurity measures being taken with a number of both our indigenous species, but also our commercial poultry operations. It's a whole lot of work going on in that space. It'll be a challenging time. Look, we're talking about biosecurity, which, as you know, a bit of a focus for me over the years. So good to say there's lots happening there. We're doing a lot of work in collaboration with other regional councils around our review of pest management, of our pest management plan. A number of councils are involved in this, so we're working collectively on this to make that happen. Couldn't get away without mentioning wild and conifers. So look, I'm really pleased to see that additional funding. We've talked about that before. So the team's been working with MPI and other South Island councils on just what the plan is going to look like for Southland and what the expanded budget is for that. You'll be hearing about that in more detail shortly. Come back to the visibility on it and also what's been planned. That's a fantastic opportunity. The flood resilience remains a key strategic priority. It is one of our key priorities. And we've had some recent annual inspections around our flood detention dams that are so critical for Invercargill. It's some infrastructure that I'm keen to get Stephen up to have a look at. It's quite unique, and our inspections have shown they're in good shape. and they are so critical to Invercargill's protection. And much of our work sits it's supported by a strong science background. I want to focus on our recent estuary model, estuary monitoring. And as you know, estuaries are a key part of Southland's picture. They are the thing at the end of the system where it captures everything coming down. So apart from the Rakiura estuary, which is in good shape, so freshwater estuary is in good shape, not too much sign of any human impact as we'd expect. The others are showing signs of real pressures around nutrients and sediments, and in particular there's ongoing nutrient enrichment in river estuary and also Jacobs River estuary. So these aren't new, and also increasing ecological deterioration in parts of the western part of the river estuary. So this work is so important. It does inform actually where we need to be shaping, and our work informs the work. This is going to be an all-of catchment approach. Our science is showing, actually, looks like the canary in the coal mine, and it's certainly showing this real issue. So that just reinforces how much work we need to do in these catchments with farmers and other industries, just to lessen that load. Our plan that we had planned to deal with this has been taken off the table. It does reinforce our non-regulatory work around getting out and getting that ICU work underway. Look, you've also heard about our science forming and talking about this Super El Nino that's coming at us around increasing wetter than average forecast for Southland from July onwards, from now onwards, and also looking to persist through spring. So to watch the space, have your raincoats and brollies handy. It's not going to be great fun, not good for intensive grazing, and it'll be a tough environment for everyone to cope with. We'll see how that all plays out. Look, in the resource management area, we've tended to have a continued focus on intensive winter grazing, and we've had some really positive feedback about the level of good practice and compliance. So that's really good to reinforce. It is a challenging space, this one, and it's really good to get that bit of news. Noting there's still some infringement notices and other things we're working through with people that aren't quite up to speed. We've got as per usual, it's a busy consenting time as well. This is a part of our obviously core business. 64 consents. We've also got 3 fast-track applications that have been dealt with. We've Southland's had a real focus around our fast track, and the teams performed really well, getting good feedback. I think the Haranui conditions are coming back. We're working through those at the moment, so things are happening, and just want to acknowledge the work of Cheryl. Everyone's read the report. I think they'll take any questions, and I'll pass it back to the team.
David.
Yeah, well, thanks, Rob. As always, a very comprehensive report. Really enjoyed it. I've got a question around the referral to the farm plan for winter grazing issues, the 91, given that when the flights happened, there was 13 investigations. I'm just wondering what the 91 referrals were, was it that they didn't have a farm plan, or what level of referral is that?
Donna. Okay, Donna, you want to take that one?
Through you, Chair. So we began this program to assist the farm plan team in the reach that they had. We started with the winter grazing incidents, but we've now moved and also doing contacts through our consent monitoring. So it's not just winter grazing incidents, it's consent monitoring as well. And it's an education only, how to get started level.
So they're low level type.
So it's not an enforcement, it's an education letter about how to get started and to get a farm plan.
Oh, okay. And then from there, it's linked to 91 coming from you.
So we send a letter out, and then we give those details to our farm plan team, and they do a follow up, and then they engage with whatever their needs are for their farming.
That's good. Can I, just one other I had was around, so the lease land thing, learning from the land. I know there was quite a big, at the time, in the road catchment, we made quite an issue around that leaseholders have been notified that that's happening. I just wondered, it didn't say, but have they been notified that there's a lot of work happening and going to be happening and
So my understanding that we are keeping our leaseholders in the loop, so they understand what's going on, looking at Patrick to nod or someone to nod.
Through you, Chair, apologies, Lucy just had to step out to attend an interview, so I'm answering on her behalf because I was at the meeting yesterday where Ella shared that, yes, she has contacted, working with Keith, and the land stability team, the leaseholders in the
Phil.
Two questions. One was quite specific around the request to the ministry to make provisions to the Southland Water and Land Plan. It seems to have taken a lot longer than I expected it would take, and yet we don't have a specific date defined when we're expecting an answer on that. So I was just wondering if staff might be able to remind us when we first submitted that, and if the ministry had all provided any indication as to a date they would expect that to be delivered. And the reason is that we are approaching a continuing busy time, and that your report reminds us how busy we are in terms of scheduling activity in between now and the end of the year that might enable those changes to proceed if we get a green light to do so.
I'm not sure we've had any feedback back, have we?
Through you, Chair, from memory, it was last year that we, September, yes, feels right. And we contact them weekly and have had a range of responses from imminent to shortly to in a few weeks. I'm not sure how those arrange themselves in the time continuum, but we remain hopeful.
And is there any benefit of escalating that now? Talking to chief executives or anything, because it seems like we're almost being punished for asking to improve the system.
But through the chair, can you leave that with me? I will definitely talk to Haley more, but I'm in Wellington end of the week, and I will be meeting with some of those very senior people and government organisations that want to know about this stuff. So I can raise it there.
Thank you. And the second point, we're just reflecting broadly on the whole report, was just reminding us how busy the council staff are, kind of like a council in full flight, even though it's for some of it quieter time during the winter season. Great resource to share with TA counterparts if they want to take on this challenge. Welcome to this range of activity. But I guess what emerged from you is, given all of the reform that's occurring with conservation, emergency management, climate action, RMA, local government reform, in such a busy organisation, the challenge is really, really broadly speaking, that we're going to how to maintain coherence in our system. And so, third day in the seats for the new chair, chief executive, just flag, I think maybe it's a conversation we need to have going forward is what are the measures that council can provide to support you in order to ensure that system coherence is maintained through a period of transition and change. So I just want to flag that as a risk for us to consider and to continue, anticipating and discussing moving forward.
It's a really good point. It's certainly one that I will have top of mind, thinking about how the organisation responds to these things and how we do that in a smart way, because you can't do everything sort of everywhere all at once, but that's what's happening at the moment. So.
Rob, you can't get away without this. There was discussions way back about the harbour master and needing more staff. Is that happening? Needs one more staff? Well, at least if we bring it up, then Stephen knows about it. And Haley and he might get together. Oh, sorry, Haley.
Through you, Chair, that's a consideration that's forming part of the long-term plan program. We heard that message at the workshop, loud and clear from you themselves.
The other thing, oh, sorry.
Good, Karen.
The other quick answer statement. I congratulate you in instigating the report on the risk with Kanoa. Because we've been worried about that for some time, and now we have some facts. Thank you, Rob.
Deal with that.
And look, Kanoa is a high priority project. This is around putting the support around it.
Morris, then Roger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I don't really have a question, Rob, but I do want to thank you for the work you've done over the last little while. It's been very good. As Bruce Robertson says, you're very good at calming the farm and making sure that we focus on things that are really important. I wasn't able to come to the event last week, so I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you very much for everything that you've done in the last little while.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Roger.
Thanks, and through you, Chair, similarly, I wanted to extend my thanks to you, Rob, for your dedicated service over the last, returning for the last year, and compiling a really comprehensive report for this council to receive and to support Stephen in transition to his new role. So thank you for that, and apologies I couldn't be with you to celebrate the end of last week. There were two things, one of which you mentioned, so I'm very grateful for that, related to estuaries around sediment, just observing that it's not referred to, I guess, as a key stressor, but acknowledging that you did refer to it there. So I think really important for this council to keep that front of mind, that sediment is the master stressor in our freshwater and estuarine ecosystems. And I had a question related to dam safety in regards to the earthquake recently, and whether that had triggered any inspections around the region.
Just refer to Lucy, who's not here. There has been some inspections. I'm not sure what the results of those are. I think the dam referred to were done earlier on. I'm sure that the team will be looking at all of those maps. No doubt. But we can come back to you on that as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I thought I'd jumping in again. Sorry, Chair. Yeah, just I'd also like to thank Rob, who wasn't able to be there the night. So thank you very much for the last 12 months, and obviously you're going to do a little bit of support over the next couple of weeks. I will note, or I do know, that there is something of a spring in your step now. Looking at the door of it. So thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, pleasure. There are any questions? That's good. I'll
move the report to you.
I'll second that. It's good. All in favour, say aye. Aye. Against, carried. We'll move on to activity management plan, strategic direction summary report. Marcus. Yep.
Thank you, Lehman. So this report provides an update in terms of the outcomes and direction getting we got from councillors during our long-term plan workshops during the course of May, June and July. So effectively, what we got to do was we provided some draft groups of activities and the topics associated with each of those groups, and we've also got some principles associated with decision making. So this report effectively seeks approval from council to note the key themes which are outlined on page 83. There's a table there around the relevant topics and the key outcomes and themes coming from each of those topics as we work through those workshops, and also some of the strategic table direction over those workshops related to long-term planning and strategic focus, evidence-informed decision-making, regional leadership and collaboration, integration, planning across activities, resilience, sustainable investment in technology and innovation. So effectively the next steps with our long-term plan process is the staff are diligently at the moment working towards developing activity management plans for each of those topics, taking on board councillor direction, service delivery, legislative requirement, government direction, a future organisation approach, ethics and financial requirements, assumptions, environmental stands, and also evident those partnerships. And then effectively, October, we'll be seeking to put those activity management plans up through the executive team for a bit of scrutiny and testing, and then we'll be workshopping all those topics in significant detail with councillors in November to get some strategic direction to inform the final long-term plan and the consultation processes in the early new year. So happy to answer any questions, Councillor Scott.
Yep, no, thanks, mate. Sorry, I'm trying to, we're looking for what's missing, but it's pretty comfortable with what you've got there. Is anybody else got any questions? Phil?
Well, just one suggestion, noting there's going to be yet to be work to develop the AMPs, moving forward. I'm just wondering if there was potential within that, perhaps towards the bottom end of each one of them, to have a section or a small couple of notes on things relating to either cross-activity dependencies or integration considerations. And I'm not suggesting we need to solve those, but just to name if an AMP connects in some way to some other part of the activities and the organisation, just so that we don't lose sight of that need for cohesion as we contemplate each one individually. I'm not sure that might be a possibility to consider to make sure they're robust in that respect. Chair. That's same with activity management plans, is to get a picture of the whole, so that we can put it all up so we can see all those efficiencies and the linkages between the water, the land, the biodiversity, the climate management, all those aspects. So we've got a coherent picture of what we are required to do by legislation and what we want to do by councillors, and what the consultation processes we want to do, how we build in that consultation process with the public to inform our direction of the organisation moving forward.
Questions?
I'll move to
with that slide. Feedback from them. Good. You and me second it. Put that all in favour, say aye. Let's roll forward. See that. Right, we'll move on to councillors' policy update 11.3. Well,
Kia ora, everyone, good morning. As those of you on the Risk Insurance Committee will know, we have a program in place to regularly update our council and management policies, and we do the committee on the status of those. The item coming to council today is to actually bring in some amendments to council policies, with the exception of actually the council policy on making a protected disclosure, which is there, but we need to withdraw because it doesn't reflect the legal review that we've there undertaken. So just 3 policies to talk you through today. The first is the council credit card policy, which has had some minor amendments. Deb, do you want to speak to those?
It's largely just had been quite a long time since it had been updated, so just to reflect the current practice. It does mention in there that the GM Integrated Catchment Management holds a credit card, but that has since been, she's since given that up. So we will be making that one minor change to the policy. If you can approve it with that change.
Second one is, does anybody want to discuss that one?
so you're taking that out.
Just
The
that
Integrated
one
Catchment
card,
Management.
yeah,
Yep,
that one card won't exist anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does say something about the limits. So there's 9,000 for the CE, and that's true. That's 10,000. And get rid of the other one. Pretty straightforward. No questions there. Right, we're all good.
The gifts and koha policy again was just changed to just clarify the process. Before it appeared that you could just fill a form out, but it didn't necessarily, the form didn't necessarily have to go anywhere. So we've just changed that to clarify that it needs to go through the executive officer.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward. Any questions? David?
Yeah, look, I had a question on the coho one, just around the quantum and who views that, because it seems at times people have got no idea how much. And does need to be some overview of what that is, because it's fair and reasonable depending on the occasion. It's very subjective, really, so I just think there needs to be, there's any governance overview.
It does need to be approved in advance by the chief executive.
And just to give an example, I've been asked at certain times just around that, just a discussion, make sure, when they just to add a wee bit of input. Pretty relational. I'm happy with the way it's worked out anyway. Yeah, that's what you're wanting to know.
Well, I would like to
governance.
think that the chair would actually also see it, just because there's a lot of, at times, with not having any transparency, there's all sorts of rumours fly around about the levels of those things, so,
I'm comfortable.
You're comfortable.
What I've seen, and I'm comfortable with what that is, so I can talk to people. Yeah. It's not, I wouldn't listen to rumours and things, and at the end of the day, in regards to that, Jeff?
Is there a limit on gifts and do people need time?
So at top of page 98, got the second paragraph, that gifts need to be declared whether over the value of $50. They go into the register.
It's for us.
Yeah, no.
All of us.
Yeah, no, as long as there's a limit there, that's all
It's like just going back to the car, like there's obviously that, reflects the occasion, through consultation with the appropriate advisor and has to be approved by the CE. And I know I've been asked if I'm going to a function or whatever. I've asked the questions too, in regards, so, and I feel very comfortable with what's been done. So there is a level of understanding what's appropriate and things like that. So.
Through you, Chair, noting that in both instances we have a register where these are recorded, and one of the new items that's on the Risk Insurance Committee agenda this year, albeit the paper will be coming to you towards the end of the year. I haven't quite worked out what we'll call it, but it's some sort of like governance review, and on those, in that report we will include things like the register, so you can all, or it can be viewed by the Risk Insurance Committee for review and assurance. So we're bringing, that's a new thing that we'll bring to you.
No other questions? Move on to the next. Is that right? Yep, move on to the next.
Judging for this is just one very minor change that was requested on the comm screen to remove the line that says that councillors will join the senior staff member appointed by the chief executive during under number 3. I think.
Right here. Any questions there? All good? No? All good? Is that?
Yep, so we're doing the full council policy, apologies for that, we will bring that back with the legal review with it at the next meeting.
Okay, well, good. I've 2 recommendations there. Mover for those, please. Roger, seconder, Ewan. All in favour, say aye. Yeah. Right. Move on 11.4, delegation for attendance at board district plan mediations. Right. Right. You want to lead us through that? That'd be good.
Yeah, that's it. This report seeks council's confirmation that the manager of strategy and policy is authorized to, under the current delegations, to attend and participate in mediation on behalf of this council in relation to the groundswell appeal on the Gore District Plan Review. By way of background, Gore District Council commenced a comprehensive review of their district plan in 2022, with the plan notified formally in 2023. An independent hearings panel heard submissions in throughout 2024 and early 25, with their final decisions released towards the end of 2025. Environment Southland formally participated in this process by lodging a submission informed by internal expertise and relevant modeling data. Subsequently, following the hearing panel's final decisions, Groundswell New Zealand appealed the decisions, and it appears that this appeal raises legal and policy issues that are relevant to this council's submission, particularly in relation to natural hazard risk management. Therefore, council joined the appeal as a party under Section 247 of the Resource Management Act to ensure that the matters raised in the submission are appropriately considered through the court process. Mediation is a standard part of the environment court process and provides an opportunity for the parties to resolve issues outside the hearing where possible. To date, the Manager of Strategy and Policy, Marcus Royce, seated beside me, has been playing a central role in this matter. This has included overseeing the preparation of submission, as well as the expert evidence and presenting the council at the hearing. So it is considered that Marcus is well placed to represent council's interests during mediation. The issue has been that the current delegations manual appears to provide the necessary authority. While it appears to provide the necessary authority, there's a degree of uncertainty due to the wording no longer being precisely aligning with the current organizational structure. Specifically, the manual currently refers to the former manager policy planning position and equivalent role, and it's somewhat uncertain whether that clearly applies to the current manager of strategy and policy positions. A matter of wording. For that reason, staff are seeking council's confirmation that to remove any ambiguity and before mediation takes place.
Okay, thanks for that. So, have you got anything to add there, Marcus? You're all good. So, I do have one question. John?
Yes, sorry, Jim, it's not a question. It's just to reinforce that paragraph about the delegations manual and us making it very clear that whoever the individual is has our authority to contribute rather than opening ourselves up for any challenge because that person may or may not have had delegated authority. So it's really a procedural clarification so that any of the contribution made is not under question.
Okay, thanks. I've just got John.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can answer. It's just a question around the procedure. See, Groundswell are doing social media posts on that. Asking, is that legal or what's when you're in the process? How does that look?
So the matter is before the courts at the moment, Chair. So effectively, the rules around that is generally the mediation process is kept pretty tight to those groups in the process. It has been through a public consultation process to develop the rules and the plan, and I guess the Environment Southland position is from reinforcing the position in the regional policy statement to manage risk profile appropriately when it comes to business developments. But in terms of how they approach their appeal, that's on them. Effectively, through our process, we're looking to just partake in the process and work our way through the technical information.
Yep. No, good, Marcus. Oh, you're happy to move that?
Recommendations, Chairman.
Okay.
Second.
Second it. Lyndall. All in favour, say aye. Aye. Yes. Move on to delegation for attendance to the Waituna Lagoon consent mediation. Lucy.
Overall, thank you, Chair. Through you, I'll take the report as read and won't speak to it fulsomely, but similar to your previous item, the delegation is required to enable the council to engage in mediation, which is scheduled for next week on the appeal relating to the Waituna Lagoon opening consent. The recommendations are obviously seeking that that me as General Manager for Integrated Catchment Management is authorised both to attend and speak on behalf of the Council and settle any appeal points within the bounds that you will provide for me later on today. I'm happy to answer any specific questions about it, but much like Marcus's previous concern, this is a matter that is before the court. So my answers may be shorter and less fulsome than I might otherwise be, but I'm also lead counsel Philip Moore's at the back. So if you've got legal type questions.
And I'll just say, if we can keep to the recommendations, obviously we're having a session this afternoon in regards to this, so delve too deeply into it. That's right, David.
I just wonder about the wording on page 116. It goes, the appeal has been lodged is against the granting of the consent itself and also against the conditions that were imposed. Against the process of granting the consent itself, is that what it's about?
So through you, Chair, it's an appeal that has been taken against the consent as given. So it's not about the process part, it's primarily focused on the actual conditions that are sitting within the consent.
Oh, yes, that's what I meant. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just
no, move that, Mark. Lyndall, second it. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Move on to 11.6, climate change and community resilience portfolio updates. We got Mark. The word is yours. If you'll run us through this, please.
Awesome, thanks, Chair. So this report just provide an update on the Regional Climate Change Working Group workshop on the 2nd of July, and also talk through some of those aspects coming out of that in relation to how it's going to inform our council work moving forward, particularly the long-term plan for local government authorities in Southland, being the 3 TAs and the regional council as those climate change assumptions and work feeds into our long-term processes. So effectively, and part of the work that the group's been traversing through is trying to settle on the scenarios associated with climate change, and we've received a letter relatively recently from the Minister for Local Government, which cautions against using the SP 5 to 8.5 planning scenario for our council work moving forward. So the working groups considered that and looking to suggest the SSP 2 to 4.5 and 3 to 7 as the 2 scenarios to work forward into our long-term plan process, and how those impact associated with the regional or the recent Southland, Mirihupi Southland climate change impact assessment, how that is going to flow into the likely anticipated effects that will hit the region. So there's a letter there for an update from the group, and happy to answer any questions unless the chairman of that climate change working group, Councillor Morrison, wants to add anything further to the report. I might add a couple of comments if we could, and not at all reflecting the deficiency in what's been said. I just wanted to put it in context that the Climate Change Working Group is working across all 4 councils and with Te Ao Marama to deliver information to each council that will inform their LTP preparation. We are, however, racing the clock to a degree. We want to make sure we deliver meaningful information in time for each council to integrate that into their LTP. So we have very deliberately written at this point in time to each of the mayors and the chair to provide this update on this is what we can share as what's emerging from our work. And the idea is to make sure to the greatest degree possible that we are not springing surprises on any council very late in their LTP preparation cycle. So what we've shared here in the attachments, especially attachment 1 and 2, is here's what's emerged so far. We think it's sensible and realistic, and we're inviting feedback should councils wish to give that to us. For example, the common climate-related planning assumptions we've suggested, it'd be really helpful to get feedback from planning staff. Actually, are these useful, or are they actually irrelevant, or not at all helpful, or are they unhelpful? So that's, for instance, one of the things that we would like to get back from planning staff. from each of the councils, etc. I think the table on page 125, if you look at that, that's also helpful because it helps people understand where different inputs to the process are managed, who owns them, who perhaps takes responsibility for stewardship of each product. The key thing is though, we can report this is what we expect climate scenarios may result in for Southland. It's actually up to each council to then determine, so what does it mean for our assets, for our services, for our communities? So we're not going to suggest that what it means. We'll tell them what they might expect, but it's up for each council to then own their response to that at the moment. The only other observation I observe is that by taking this collaborative approach, we expect it would migrate naturally and support spatial planning into the future as that emerges as a more important thing for Southland. I hope that all makes sense.
All good.
And so just would encourage people to engage with it and provide feedback in the weeks ahead. Fire it back to us.
Yeah. Probably a little bit of feedback. Really feel so. Talking to some community board members, and they weren't questioning the mythology. So where their issue fell was in relation to they had the information presented to them as to the expected outcomes, and this was from coastal inundation. But then the TA left it, there was a gap or a void of information around what the next steps, what the actions might be. So they felt sort of that they had been engaged with understanding what might happen, but then a lack of information from the other parties around how they might engage in that. So yeah, just a bit of feedback on the ground. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Morris, do you have a quick?
Well, just a comment really, I was clarifying this was Phil before, because I was a bit unsure, that we look at the two key climate change scenarios, SSP 2-4.5 and SSP 3-7.0. Those are the two we're looking at. There was another one which was much higher, and that's now seemed to be unlikely. But even so the 4.5 that relates to radiative heating and watts per square kilometre or something, and the 7 is obviously sort of nearly double. So the 4.5 is actually where they're predicting the temperature will get to about 1.7 above what it used to be 100 years ago. And that's sort of where we are now. So you can see that there are bad things happening with the floods, heat waves and all that sort of thing. So using the other one, SSP 3-7.0, that's where things get pretty bad. There's a lot of bad things happen, a lot worse than what we are happening now. So those are the two scenarios that we're using, and that's just in case I just mentioned that in case you didn't know what they meant. Like I didn't really know what they meant a little while ago either. So yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Morris. I'm happy to move that very quick. Happy to second it. For the discussion, we'll secondary anyway. No, all good. I'll move. I'll put that. All in favour, say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thanks. We are going to have a change. I'm going to move that we change the agenda, but due to some councillors having to be away by 12, and we've got a couple of PX items that we need to deal with, and we want everybody in that discussion. So I'm happy to move. Do I need to move that we change? Not the agenda. Move into public excluded for reasons being. And I appreciate this. Sorry for people. We have to do this just to make sure we've got everyone around the table.
Going to adopt the resolutions of committee meetings and listed on page 215 and deal with supplementary report item 1, CE update on governance matters, and second supplementary report, environment Southland approach to simplifying local government.
Second, all in favour, say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Right. My apologies again. We're having a change around. working with everyone.
Okay, right.
That we could deal with. It'll be our discussion. Good. Yeah, we'll run through, we'll do the PX, we'll try and get the PX sort of sorted while we're under here. And on, yeah, start as the agenda. The committee resolutions. What's been overall feeling?
I'll let you.